This is the Hunt Stand Podcast. I'm your host, Will Cooper. Each week, we bring you real hunting stories, proven strategies, and dive into the topics hunters care about most. From chasing your first whitetail to planning a western elk hunt, we cover the conversations that matter to every hunter out there. Tune in, subscribe, and join the hunt, only on the Hunt Stand Podcast.
Hit the road for fun and heartwarming fishing adventures with the Real American Road Trip.
I just want to hook up one time. I just need to hook up one time.
Catch the Waypoint Original Series every Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern on the Waypoint TV channel. Waypoint TV, your destination for outdoor entertainment.
I did get a bite. I have gotten a bite. I did feel it.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Bowhunter Chronicles podcast, brought to you by Huntworth. Huntworth gear for all types of weather, all types of terrain, all types of budgets. It's clothing that just works. Check them out at huntworthgear.com. And I can tell you, I've been using the new Silent X Berber, and it is all it's cracked up to be. Lately here, temperatures have been down into the 20s, and I had just been wearing the top, just the jacket, and I mentioned it before, but I like the fact that you can zip the hood off of it, because one of the things that I hate is hood on hood on hood, and I'd just been wearing that, and it was good, but as it got down into the colder temperatures, I started throwing the bibs on the last couple sits, and I'm literally wearing just a base layer and a pair of sweatpants and those bibs, and I was completely warm, and winds were medium, 10, 12 mile an hour winds we had, and super comfortable and quiet. And with the bibs, I love the fact that the pockets are on the top of those, and they just have them coming out. So I've got the ones that are in the Tarnin pattern, but they just released the digital pattern, the Disruption. So that's new on the website, so you can go check that out at huntworthgear.com. And then right now over at Latitude, they have their Rut Rally sale going on, so free shipping on anything over $99. So check that out at latitudeoutdoors.com. And so I've been hunting quite a bit. I ended up shooting a doe up in the UP. Nothing, I just haven't hit the rut like on, my timing has just been off everywhere I've went. And up there it was just small bucks, and none of them were chasing nothing. I mean, I had small bucks with does and tons of does, and they were just intermingled. No chasing, no anything. And just yesterday, I finally had some chasing. I saw some searching. I saw 4 bucks and one spike chasing a doe, and that was the only deer that was in range to shoot. And of course, the way that it always goes, one of the nicer bucks, one of the ones that I would have shot, went right under the tree that I was in the day before, and that's just kind of the way that it's been for me. But I was able to get some venison in the freezer, shot one up in the UP. Buddy I brought up there, he hit one, hit a 6-point, wasn't able to recover it, killed a doe, so he brought some meat home from the UP. Good trip, and now getting ready. I got to work the next 5 days, and then we're off to Kansas. So this time next week, we'll be in Kansas for 7 days to kind of see where that hits. Spartan Forge says peak breeding is the 15th. We're showing up there on the 17th. So hopefully we're going to hit the top to middle of that bell curve, and it's going to work out for us. But looking forward to it all the same. It's going to be fun. Always fun. It's going to be most of the guys from Rome are 3/5 of us, half of us, maybe, I don't know. And just going to be out there, trying to get it done in a new state for some of those guys. They've never been out there. So looking forward to that. But this podcast is If you're not following along, Lane Housner, he's been on the show a bunch of times in the presence hunt. He has been on a tear. So we recorded this a couple days ago, and he had killed 5 bucks. And he said he's killed 5 bucks in 5 different states. And he was going in. He's like, can we do the podcast a little bit earlier? Because I got to get up at 2 a.m. to go in. I'm going back to Maryland, trying to kill another buck. I got him patterned. I think we can kill him. And so since then, he went in there, and yesterday he killed that buck. And so now he's killed 6 bucks this season already. And so we get into just that wild season about killing these bucks on public land, kind of like how he's been scouting, like what happens, how he prioritizes like his time, and in doing so, what's allowed him to do this, and just wild. I mean, 6 bucks in a season is insane for anybody, I think, and even a lot of the guys that kill a lot of deer, that is gotta be, kind of like tip top as far as like how many bucks you kill in a season. So, shout out to Lane, but this podcast is one where, I mean, if you like deer hunting stories, and I think that that's what everybody, at the core, we want to learn something, but, hearing about killing deer and whatnot is one of those things that we really do enjoy. This one's going to be for you. I know you guys are going to enjoy this one. As always, thanks for listening. Enjoy the podcast. Oh, wait, hold on. We've got our on the Bowhunter Chronicles Facebook page, we have our kill log. So the Patreons and the guys that follow along with the podcast, we've been kind of going through, and we thought it would be fun to kind of see like what the actual harvest has been for the podcast, the listeners, the tried and true guys. And so far, right now, we are at, I think, 55 animals. There's a couple that haven't been on there. They were just killed in the last day or so. Austin from Genesis 3D killed a really nice buck today. Shout out to Matt Michalek. Killed a buck the other day. Real awesome. He's one of the guys that we give a lot of crap to because, he's missed quite a bit. And then out in PA, Jason Klabuznik, long time listener of the show, Patreon, good friend of ours, killed an absolute great buck out in Pennsylvania. So just shout out to those guys. Great job. Go over, if you're listening to this and you've killed something this year, go over to the Bowhunter Chronicles opportunist page on Facebook, and there's a link right at the top where you can click on that and update the harvest log. And, just for fun to see, buck to doe ratios, kind of what we're doing, because we were talking about some of that stuff. But again, thanks for listening. Thanks for the support. As always, enjoy the episode. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Bowhunter Chronicles podcast. And today we're talking to Lane Housner, and he was just about to get into, all the good stuff, the meat and potatoes. But if you haven't been like following along, he's been on the podcast a couple times, and good friend of the show here. And I mean, what have you killed? 5 bucks this year?
Yeah, 5 bucks and the doe.
Yeah. So it's like, the great thing about it for me, and like I was thinking about like going into this podcast, thinking about like, you think about like naming the podcast, like what are you going to call it and all this stuff. Like in a like normal situation, you would think like this is like must be one of those must be nice things, right? Like you must have like all this property to hunt and all these farms, these leases, all these buddies with this private land where you just go from sponsor to sponsor, and they just got these big houses for you to stay in, these ranches, and they're just putting you on all these deer, right?
Yeah, I wish, man. Yeah, 300-yard walks to the tree and stuff, stuff like that.
No, your bad boy buggy, you just hop in and golf cart it out there.
Yup. Oh, yeah, it's awesome, man.
Yeah, and so you've been videoing all these hunts pretty much and all that. And And, we were just talking about my struggles and whatnot, and just coming up and back from the UP. And I think when we get into like the beginning of your season, like we got to give a big shout out to Todd going up to the UP where he's from, and going up and just arrowing a buck, real nice 8-point up there. So we got to give Todd a shout out. He was with you in Delaware, right?
Oh yeah, dude. He called me on whenever he shot. I forget what it was. It might have been, the days have been blended together here, but I think it was Saturday or Friday. He called me and he's like, he was all amped up. But dude, he was like, "You're the first person I called." I loved it, man. That's awesome. He's a good dude, man. He's awesome.
So was that your, like, getting into it, like, was that when your season started with that hunt with Todd?
Yeah, I went down to Delaware 2 days earlier than what the season started, and pretty much just rode roads and just midday went in, scouted some pieces. Honestly, like, I found a lot of deer. I mean, it makes sense in the soybeans and stuff like that. So I was mostly just riding roads because most of that stuff down there you can kind of see from the roads. Burned a lot of gas, and then that first morning I shot a buck, and I must have put a bad hit on him. I mean, we tracked him for like 700 yards before we jumped him. I got a dog in there. We waited. Blood was decent until like maybe 200 yards in. But yeah, I mean, he never bedded down in the first 250 yards. Usually when they're lethally hit, they usually bed down within that. But yeah, we tracked him like 700, and then it was kind of a mess, man. Like, the dog tracker was an awesome dude. He had a lot of grit. Like, he was a good guy, but it was just thick nasty. I think something happened with like the leash or something where the dog just got loose and started running. And then he's like, "Oh man," he's like, "Oh, what is his name? I forget what the dog's name was," but he's like, "Oh man," he's like, he's going towards the deer." And you hear him barking. He's like, "That means he's alive." And then he was like, "Oh man," he's like, "My Garmin," he's like, "it fucked up, man." He's like, "The GPS is off." He's like, "I don't know where my dog is." So like, it turned into an absolute nightmare. He brought his other dog in there. The other dog like didn't really get on anything, so we walked him out. Got another dog in there. He couldn't really pick him up. I mean, dude, we covered the piece, just like pretty much just went back and forth, and then finally after like 3 or 4 hours, like, his Garmin picked it up, and the dog was like 3 or 4 properties over. So we freaking ran over there. He got the dog, and he did like another little search, but we didn't find anything. That was pretty unfortunate. Then that evening, I went out, and I mean, just riding roads. I had everything I seen. I just pinned, and then I just went to that spot that I shot in my bucket. Top A, and then the second spot I went to was B, and then I walked in there, and there was actually a dude in the tree. So I was like, all right, screw it, back up, plan C. And I seen a good buck there like the day before in the evening, but it was so close to the road, I had it pinned as a C spot because I was like, yeah, I don't know, like, it might have been a fluke. But I crawled in there, and then of course, man, I think it was 4 bucks right around in the middle of the soybeans. I filmed them at like 250 yards, and they just worked. They were just out there all night. One buck, the buck I killed was in that group. But yeah, then I had a bunch of does working. I mean, it was an awesome night. Pretty much got a game plan for the next evening. Like, all right, I got to slide up to where those deer came out from, where those bucks came out from, and that's exactly what I did. Slid in there, and it was probably like 400 yards from the road. There was one little parking spot there. Parked there, and my wind was perfect. It was kind of going back in the woods, but I figured those deer would be bedded like right on, right pretty much right next to the parking area. So I kind of did a loop on the road and then walked out the field edge. And I mean, it was just like scrape, scrape, scrape. I probably got like 4 or 5 scrapes in the sand, like in the field edge. And I was like, all right, the biggest one I found, it was like 5 or 6 scrapes in. I mean, it was the size of a car hood. And I was like, all right, I got to be right here, man. I was like, this is exactly kind of roughly where I pinned that the night before. I was like, I bet you I'll see him if I sit here. So I found a tree right in there, down, like, crawled up it. And I mean, it was perfect, man. There was like, I was right on this edge. There was like just thick, nasty stuff to my left and kind of like all this blow down to the right. I mean, it just met perfect. And if you looked out in soybeans and you could just see fingers running out in the soybeans, like 5 or 6 fingers, like coming out right where I was. I was like, I'm going to have a good night. But the thing was, I set up my tree wrong because I put my like platform like I was shooting into the field. So I pretty much stood up on the platform all night. And I think I seen like 2 does right off the rip. They were little ones. They walked like back towards where I thought the bucks were bedded. And then I don't know. I think it was like right. It wasn't right at the last light, but it was like 7:15. I was watching that. There was a little buck stepped out like 50 yards. Was feeding around this acorn tree, and I glassed him. And I was like, that was the same little buck he was with yesterday. He didn't shell velvet. I was like, I bet you he's still grouped up because like when these deer are like in velvet like this, you got a short little window to hunt them. Because the velvet's coming off. And once the velvet comes off, they all split up. So right now they're in the bachelor groups. So I was like just praying. I was like, thank God he's involved. I bet you the other bucks are with him. And then sure enough, that's when my buck stepped out, and I met, dude, it was perfect. He walked right into 20 yards, and no idea I was even there. I freaking 10 ringed him. He ran like 20 yards, piled up, and yeah, called Greg. Greg came over, helped me get him out, man. It was awesome, dude. That was my first velvet buck, but he was a good one.
And so where did you go from there? Like what time frame was that? Like that was September?
Yeah, that was like September 1st. No, that was September 2nd. I shot him on September 2nd. So I was there 2 days earlier than what the season started. So the season started on the 1st. And then, so what is August a 31st day, or is it August the 30th? I forget. But
I think it's
pretty
a
much
third.
the last 2 days of August I was there for, and pretty much just spent scouting. And then
From dawn to dusk and every moment in between, Captain Justin Leake and Meredith McCord have an exciting adventure waiting in the water. Catch Chasing the Sun, Sundays at 10 a.m. Eastern on Waypoint TV. Waypoint TV, your destination for outdoor entertainment.
that's really what killed that deer, was just all the homework I put in right before that.
And so then where do you go from there? So that's not your home state, right? So
Yeah.
you made a trip. And you said Greg, I know that, but I think it was Todd, right?
Oh, did I say Greg? Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Todd. Yeah,
I know those two were like thick as thieves, so
Greg was supposed to be down there too, but something came up. I don't think he couldn't make it. I think he hunted like close to home, like northern Delaware or whatever. But yeah. But yeah, no, Todd, yeah, Todd helped me pack him out. It was awesome, man. It was such a fun experience. But yeah, where I went from there was went home, and then I think Maryland came in like the 7th. Then pretty much just hunted Maryland till PA came in. And oh no, actually, I hunted Maryland, and then I didn't kill anything in Maryland right off the rip. I don't think. I think I shot a doe early on. Just I found a feed tree, shot her. It was like just a quick evening hunt after work, and then I believe it was. I think Kansas comes in the 15th of September. So I left 2 days before that. Got out there and pretty much just did the same thing I did in Delaware. Just scouted for like 2 days before, and then I think I was there for like 4 or 5 days. I didn't really get on anything, to be honest with you. I pretty much just used that as like a scouting time. I've seen some deer, but just nothing. I seen like one big buck, driving, but that was about it. And I pretty much just used that time to just scout rut funnels and just rut stuff, because I knew I was coming back out there in the rut. So then I came home and PA opened and started hunting PA.
So just real quick, was that the same unit that you hunted Kansas before, or did you
With
switch
Corey?
units?
Yeah, yeah. It was the same. It was the same unit I hunted
Was
before.
it the same unit that me and you hunted, or was it
No.
the same one that you hunted with Corey?
The same one I hunted with Corey. My buddy told me, he's like, I got a private farm down there. I'm not gonna tell you the unit, but he's like, I got a private farm down there, like in southern Kansas. He's like, you can hunt it. You'll be good. I was like, all right, sweet. So I put in for that unit, and Corey's, like, not Corey's unit, but like the unit I hunted with Corey, just because, dude, that unit's huge and that has so much diversity. I love that unit. But so I put in for those two. I drew it, and then of course I texted the dude and I was like, hey man, I drew it. Like, can I still hunt your farm? He's like, hey man, I drew it. He's like, I drew too. He's like, I'll send you some pins for some public down here. I was like, dude, come on. So I pretty much just, I didn't even hit him up. Like, I was like, dude, I can find my own stuff. I don't need you to find my deer for me. So
Yeah, so you get back from Kansas,
yep,
your scouting trip, and then
yep.
what's
much.
next?
PA, man, I've hit PA hard. I don't think I hit Maryland at all when PA opened up. I did hit. I went down to Delaware for their muzzleloader season for like a day, which I think that's like early October. I did that. I didn't kill anything, but I was pretty much, my focus was in PA, man. Like, I had that big buck on camera in the summer, and I really wanted to kill him, and like I was kind of sinking all my marbles into that kind of area. You know what I mean? But it paid off.
And so how'd that hunt go?
Oh, it was wild, man. So it was like the day, I think I had like 3 sits in there. I pulled that camera, I believe, like beginning of September, and I had him a bunch in August in velvet. And every single time he was going back to this clear cut or coming from the clear cut. It didn't matter what time. I got him in daylight, I got him at nighttime, I got him all times throughout the day. But every single time he was either coming to or going from that clear cut. So I was like, all right, this is the clear cut I got to be. And there's no service back in there, so it wasn't cell cam. It was just conventional cameras. So I was like, this is where I got to be, man. I got to be in this clear cut. So I scouted the clear cut hard on the 10th. I mean, I don't even know how far back I was in from my bike. Like, it was a point of that bike in. You can bike it in or you can walk it in. But I was using my bike for that, and dude, I was probably like a mile and a half from my freaking bike, like up this mountain. I scouted the clear cut hard. I hung one camera in there, and I didn't see. I think I seen one deer that night, but it wasn't him. It was like a little button buck, but it just set up perfect. It was like open hardwoods, and then just a 90-degree hill, like going up the mountain, and it was like a little bench, right? And like right behind me was the clear cut, and they had there was like this little subtle trail right next to that high wall and freaking and that clear cut, and just kind of ran in the back. And I knew, I was like, yeah, that's a rut trail, man. Like they were just scent checking this hillside, scent checking this, clear cut. And there was a bunch of old scrapes, a bunch of old rubs, like historical stuff. I need to be back in here in like the rut. I know I do. I need to sit on northwest wind. It's set up perfect for that. So pretty much got out of there, and it never really set up good again to hunt it like for a while. We were getting some weird winds there, and like it was just hot, and I was working a lot. I'm trying to sell my house right now, so I'm like just was working so hard this year, like way harder than what I did in the past. So between the house and work, I had hardly any time. But I waited till like the 24th, I think it was, and I went back up in there, and I was kind of on the fringes of it because it didn't set up super well, but I still wanted to try it. And I've seen two deer, two little bucks, and then the next morning, I was actually supposed to leave for Illinois like that Friday, but I was like, I want to give it one more chance, like one more honest chance in the rut, like pre-rut before I leave for Illinois. So that Saturday, it set up perfect. It was like 20 some degrees in the morning, perfect northwest wind. I hiked up in the morning, got to the exact tree I wanted, didn't bust out anything, crawled up the tree, like right at first light. I see this doe come right, I'm at perfect, right down the bench, right to me. She was at like 40 yards, 35 yards, and then she fed around for a little bit and started going up the hill. And then I heard like some more crunching. I looked behind her on the same bench. Here comes this like, I mean, he was probably like 120, 130 inch, 8-point. He had a kicker on his V2, but he was coming down the bench, and then he went up the mountain. He was probably like 80 yards, and then I seen him turn, and his kind of demeanor changed, and I was watching in the video camera, and all of a sudden I just see like rack coming from behind him, and dude, here comes my buck, and he freaking comes. I'm like, oh man, I mean, it was freak out mode. And he comes right on the bench, works right down to where that doe was, starts hitting a scrape, and I drew back, and it was like 45 yards. I hate shooting that far. I like them like 20 yards in, because that's when your greatest odds of actually killing them are. It just sucks shooting them far. But dude, he was angled like going uphill. As he was coming in, dude, it was the coolest thing. He snort wheezed, and it was the meanest snort wheeze I've ever heard. Like it was like top 3 hunts of my life by far. But yeah, he hit that scrape, and honestly, like my eyesight is not the best right now. Like at low light, I struggled. I mean, it was like right at 7 o'clock, 7:15. So it's like just hardly light. And the doe's already up the mountain at like 50 yards, maybe 55 yards. And I see him like turn, and he's in my angle. He was like gonna cut uphill and go right to that doe. So I was like, dude, here's your chance, homeboy. You got to kill him now. So I drew back and freaking. I mean, I wasn't shaking, but I was definitely like kind of mid range on the deer, just because I was like, all right, dude, I want to kill him like 45 yards, and I let it rip, and it hit him super far back, man, like right, kind of high, like right. I don't know if you can see, but like kind of right, right in the guts, man. It was not a good shot at all, dude. He freaking ran like 100 yards, and I see him. I was watching him, the video camera. He's all hunched up like they usually are, and I didn't make any noise. My wind was still good. And I see him just bed down. And I was like, no freaking way, dude. Like, he's hurting right now. And, he stood up, maybe walked like 20 yards, bedded back down again. And I watched him in that bed for probably like an hour, hour and a half. And then he stood up, walked a little bit, like maybe 10, 15 yards, and bedded down again. And that bed he was in probably 3 or 4 hours. And it was probably, I don't know, a 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock, maybe 2 o'clock. And I was like, dude, I got so much stuff to do right now. The wind was picking up. I was like, this is going to take a while. Like, I don't even think I'm going to go in here tonight. I think I'm just going to leave them overnight and come back up first thing in the morning. So I left all my stuff. All I did was just slip down, and I just used the wind as cover, and just freaking got wrapped the whole way around the outside of the clear cut, because he went in front. He went in front of me, not the way access. I just freaking cut around the whole way. I didn't think I bumped him at all. Like, I was watching him the entire time, kind of just slowly walking, and dude, it was the longest day of my life, man. Like, I was watching the footage, and dude, I can't believe that, like, that deer was, within bow range of me, to be honest with you. And yeah, man, I went in the next morning. I had dog trackers lined up. Dude, those dog trackers are like the weird, like, I hate saying this, but they are like the weirdest people, man. Like, I freaking called my one buddy, and he was like, I can't do it, man, because he lived like 3 or 4 hours away. He's like, I'll transfer. I'll give you my other buddy's number. He lives up by you. So I called him. He was like, I can't do it, man. He's like, but he's like, just go down the list on the United Blood Trackers list and start reading off names. And I'll tell you good guys. So I was like, okay. So I went through like 2 or 3, and I hit this one dude, and he was like, yeah, that's a solid dude. He's like, give him a call. And I was like, all right. So I called him, set it all up with him. Everything was good, man. You know, like I was like, all right, cool. Like, we'll bring a dog in there, do it the safe way. And then all of a sudden, my buddy called, like the first buddy calls me, and he's like, dude, that dude is like not a good dude. He's like, he's just gonna use it for publicity and blah 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 blah. And he's like, his dog's like only a year old, and like it was like just a mess he was telling me. And I was like, all right. That dude who like confirmed with me, he was kind of rubbing me the wrong way because he was just asking so much and like, you know, like calling me nonstop and like, dude, you know, we're gonna go get blah 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 blah. I'm like, dude, holy crap, man! Like I don't know, like it was just kind of red flags, to be honest with you. And I never actually held like a huge buck like that, blah blah blah. And I was like, I don't know, man. And yes, I ended up like canceling with him, dude. He got so butthurt. He texted me this huge paragraph. He's like, good luck finding any other trackers in Pennsylvania, blah blah blah, all kinds of bull crap. But I like my buddy was like, yeah, I'll just do it. He's like, you know, just you'll find that deer yourself, man. He's like, all the videos you sent me and everything you done. He's like, it's the right thing. He's like, I bet you'll go up there and he'll be dead. You know, maybe 50 yards from where you last seen him. He's like, I would be willing to bet. He's like, if you can't find him within the first like hour, he's like, give me a call and I'll come up. So I was like, all right. So I just went up myself and I did like a half mile right off the rip. Couldn't find him and I was a little scared. You know, I was just like, ah, dang, dude, I don't know. So I called my buddy. He was like, all right, I'll come up. He's like, I'm, 4 hours away. And I was like, he's like, just back out. And I was like, all right. So I went, grabbed my stuff real quick out of the tree. I like climbed up it. And right before I left my camera arm in the tree, and I pointed my camera arm in the exact spot I left him, like the exact spot. I was like, right here, I left my camera arm there. So I was sitting up in the tree, and I was like, dude, I was looking on next day. I didn't really like look. I looked around that area, but I kind of just went on the outside of it. I was like, when I walk out of here, I'm just gonna go right through the middle of it and see what I see. Threw down my stuff, walked over there, and as soon as I got over there, I seen something flash, and I was like, dude, that looked like an antler. I was like, huh. So I started walking to it, and it's thick, nasty, all that like buckbrush stuff. So I walk over to it, and it's a leaf. It's like 20 yards away from me. I see a leaf like flicker from the sunlight, and I'm like, dude, I'm an idiot. I was like, this sucks. I was like, I'm just gonna get out of here. I was like, before I do this, I was like, let me just walk another 5 yards and just confirm it's not an antler. So I walked another 5 yards, dude. Within like 5 steps, there's his antler laying right there, and I walk up to him, and it was like, oh man, I can't believe it, dude. He's a giant, dude. He's a giant.
So how far did he go from the last time you seen him?
Like, I don't know exactly. In my last pin, so obviously I wasn't down there. I just was like holding up my on-X, kind of in the general area, aiming it, and I was like, all right, he's about 125 yards away from me. So I pinned a spot like 125 yards. It was like another 50 yards beyond that pin. So I was just off that pin by 50 yards. And he was laying right there. So I don't know if that was the exact bed I last seen him in, or like that was my camera arm was pointing in the exact general area. So I don't think he made it even 100 yards after I last seen him. You know what I mean? Like he was laying right there. So he maybe made it 100, 125 yards from where I shot him at.
It's funny that you say that, just because one of my other buddies from around here, he shot a buck over the weekend, and he basically said the same thing. He was like, he did something over the weekend, like he shot this buck, and I don't know if it was like a marginal hit or what the deal was, but he was like, when you shoot a deer, like make sure you pick out a landmark and like mark it on your map, like whatever mapping system you're using.
Yep.
Because he got down and he couldn't find anything, and then he found that landmark, followed that line, and then the deer was, like 100 yards past that or whatever, but he was able to get on the blood, all that stuff.
Yep.
And, it's funny that you did that, like with your camera arm, like having the foresight to do that,
Yeah. So yeah, I was filming everything on my phone. Like I had my phone like on 0.5 or like whatever it is, and just had it sideways. It was like, all right here was the last spot I seen him. I like pointed with my finger and like had it on that tree. I think it was like a double tree. And I was like, all right, I need to be right there tomorrow. So I was using that too. Like any little key thing you can kind of do to help that, it's a big advantage, obviously.
So you kill this buck in Delaware. Your first, and that was a really nice buck too, but it's your first velvet buck. come back, you kill this monster in PA, like
Yep.
when you're supposed to go to Illinois.
Yep.
Like, so what? So then do you just like, all right, get in the car, head to Illinois, or what?
Oh, I was going to, man, but then I got home and, it's like the best day of my life. I'm holding her, antlers, and I'm like, Kaylee, come down. But Kaylee's living with me. So she comes down, she's like, cool. And she goes back upstairs, and I go up, and I'm like, yeah, so I think I'm going to pack up and go to Illinois. And she's like, are you fucking kidding me right now? She's like, you just killed this buck? And she's like, I have no heat in my house right now. I'm putting a pellet stove in, and dude, but right before I shot that buck, I woke up. It was the day I shot my buck on that Saturday. I woke up and I had no hot water. So I was like, oh man, my propane ran out, dude. I didn't realize it. So I used to be on auto delivery, but for some reason I wasn't on auto delivery. So I was supposed to call the propane company on Saturday. Well, dude, after I shot this buck and got home, man, my life, all I did was call buddies the entire day and freaking watch the videos, and call these dog trackers. And then I didn't call the propane company. And Sunday when I got my buck, I totally forgot about it. So I was like, oh man, I told she was like, you're gonna leave me no hot water, no heat. And I was like, all right, I'll stick around a day or two and get that shit done, and then I'm headed out. So I did that. I stuck around. I don't think I left till like Monday. It was late. It was like Monday at like 5 or 6 o'clock, and then pretty much rolled out there. I slept a little bit at like 2 o'clock, and then got out there Tuesday morning. And I was dog tired, but I just rode around and started pinning spots, dude. Started the whole procedure over.
And so, like, have you hunted Illinois before?
Nope, never.
Okay. So when you're going around, like, pinning these spots and whatnot, like, so how did you pick the area that you went to in Illinois? And then what are you looking for when you're driving around? Because that's one of the things I wanted to get into, because, like, going to Delaware early season, these bucks are bachelor grouped up. You already said that. You find them in the beans. You see them. Yeah. I mean, that doesn't. I mean,
it's way easier.
It takes a lot to kill them, but the process is pretty simple, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So, what are you doing when you get to Illinois? Like, how are you figuring this out?
Yeah, so I had a buddy who lives out there. So he pretty much, the area I picked out was I have a couple buddies from Florida, and they were going up and hunting this piece, and it's like one of them kind of draw pieces. So they drew the week prior, so I drew the week after them. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna try to get up during their hunt, hang out with them, and just start scouting, And then my buddy Tim was around. He lives right in that area too, so he's like, I know this piece pretty good, dude. He's like, I'll we'll hang out and I'll kind of show you around a little bit. So got out there and I e-scouted it, just finding, funnels pretty much and pinches and stuff like that. And then I got out there and me and Tim went on a drive like the first day and pretty much rode around a couple other public pieces that you can hunt without a draw. And then, the actual draw piece. And he was pretty much like, yeah, like this is a good area, good bucks, like, good area, blah, 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 blah. But never really told me like, all right, this is where I should go. He just pretty much told me like, dude, the one spot he did tell me, he's like, dude, my buddies are on a huge 12-pointer out here. And he sent me a picture of him. He was like this little sliver right here might be a honey hole. And I was like, I kind of kept that in the back of my mind. And I think, so that Tuesday I pretty much just rode roads and just glassed. I slept a little bit too. I didn't really dive in any pieces, just because I was dog tired. And then that Wednesday is when I pretty much just started diving in pieces. And I just scouted. I knocked out, I don't even know how many miles I did, man. I did just a bunch. And, me and Trey was already tagged out, my buddy from Florida. So he was pretty much just riding around with me, helping me scout too. I went down in that piece where I killed my buck. I've kicked out a couple does. I just found this perfect funnel, man. Like it's set up so well. Like Illinois is pretty cool. All the tops are mad thick and all the bottoms are just super open. So it kind of makes sense what the deer are going to do. There was some ag up there too. I seen like one little buck, bumped out a bunch of does, and I didn't see any like real fresh scrapes, but I just knew there's deer in there, just bumping out them deer. So I kept that in the back of my mind, rode around, found some other pieces that looked good, like with some awesome sign. Like, there was this one piece that there was like this faint trail, and it was like these 3 little patches of woods, and it just surrounded by CRP, and there was just trails everywhere, scrapes, rubs. So I hung a camera in there, pretty much just hung a bunch of cameras that first day. I actually think that evening I slid into that piece that I found all that sign on. I seen like 2 or 3 deer, seen like one little buck. I could have shot him, but I wasn't shooting a little buck, And then the next day was Thursday. Pretty much just did the same thing, just scouted in the morning and freaking rode around and put out a couple more cameras. And then the evening I went back to that spot I hunted before, or that all that sign was. I went in the backside of it. I bumped out like 2 or 3 deer. I didn't see anything in the evening, and then or like actually sitting. And then Friday was the first day of like my actual hunt on that piece. So I slid into that spot where that first spot I found where all those deer were and everything. Slid in there, and dude, I had a heck of a morning. I mean, I seen 2 does right off the rip. They came right underneath of me, and then I had a little buck just do exactly what I thought. Cruise that side of the bedding area, came right behind me. I mean, I could have shot him, and worked on through. And then right after that, I had probably like 130-inch 8-point come in the bottom on the other side, freaking like just 50 or 60 yards away from me, and just go up the other side, like pretty much run the ravine and go up that way. And I was like, huh. All right, well, I think I got to move a little bit. I had another like 2 or 3 deer come out too, and about midday, I was like, all right, I got to move. I hadn't seen anything by like 11 o'clock at this point, so I was like, I got to move. So made a little shift, like 60 yards, got closer to where I seen that big buck at, and I was sitting there, and then pretty much right at last light, my buck comes out the bottom, and just, I mean, I knew it was a decent buck. He just came out and just did exactly what I thought he was going to do. Right in front of me, 20 yards, smacked him, dude. He freaking runs like maybe 30 yards. I don't hear anything. I don't hear him crash or nothing. And I was like, oh man, I don't know. And I like waited till dark. I never heard him crash. I waited till dark. Left all my stuff, got down. As soon as I got down, there was like, it sounded like 5 or 6 deer were like right next to me, and I didn't see them, but like, and they freaking took off. So I was pissed off from that. And then I went down, got my arrow. Dude, it was nasty looking. Like, it looked like straight guts. And I was like, dude, are you kidding me? I was like, I thought I nailed him good. I was like, I can't believe this. So like, I looked on the ground, there was nothing. I was like, dude, I'm just gonna go back in the morning, dude. I was like, I'm gonna play it safe again. You know what I mean? I was like, it's supposed to be cold. I was like, I can't. I was down in the dumps. I was like, this sucks. Went back in the morning, first thing, crawled up that tree, and I pretty much was in the tree just because I wasn't too sure, and I just like, it was the first I figured just give him like 20 minutes after daylight, and just seeing within like 15 minutes of daylight, I had this coyote come down, and I lip squeaked her. She was going right to where my deer was, and I lip squeaked her. She turned in the bottom and just came on a dime right to me, and I freaking smacked her. She ran off. So I was like, all right, I'm getting down now, getting this coyote real quick, and then I'm gonna run over and check this buck. So got the coyote, and then I went to my arrow, and then like, dude, I kid you not, he was probably 40 yards from my arrow. And I just like walked like kind of the direction I last seen him. He was laying right there, and I was like, "Oh my god, dude!" It was crazy, but dude, I smashed him. He was actually quartering two a little bit, so it came out guts. But I like, the entry was perfect.
Dude,
But it just, I don't, in that situation, it's like, what do you do? Like, the arrow looked like crap. It was like, I could go push him and try it at night, but like, I don't want to push him, man. Like, and I just had luck, like leaving a buck overnight. So I was like, I'm gonna do the same thing.
when you said that,
Yeah.
and like knowing that you got the deer,
Yeah.
like I knew exactly what happened, because that's what happened in Tennessee to me last year. I shot a buck, and he was more quartering two than I thought.
Yep.
And I shot him exactly where it was supposed to, and it come out like right by his like back leg.
Yep.
And like, he ran off, and I thought, man, I smoked him. Like, but I shot him in the morning. So
Yeah.
he runs off. I'm glassing him. I'm waiting for him to fall over, and he just runs over the ridge. And I glass down. I'm looking at my arrow, and all the white fletchings and everything is green. And I'm like, what? I'm like, no way.
Yeah.
And like, so I know exactly what you were thinking. Like,
Yeah. Like, it was just like, yeah,
yeah. So when you're going in there and you're like scouting for these things, like when you're saying you're looking for these funnels, and you say that you know exactly what these deer are going to do, like with the egg or the CRP or whatever on top, these flats, and then the bottoms, like, can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah. So like, the tops a lot of times are thick, nasty. Like, not a lot of times there's some where there's CRP, but a lot of times like the stuff I was hunting was like all that autumn olive stuff, and it is just thick, nasty. And there's like, it's thick undergrowth, thorns, just all kinds of nastiness. And then the bottom's pretty much like, you hit the side hill, and it's like just a transition to open hardwoods, and the whole open hardwoods in the bottom, like going on the side hill, and then the bottom, you hit the bottom, and there was like this little patch of pawpaw trees, and then it was pretty much open hardwoods from there, and just up the other side, the same exact thing. There was a little field up above me. I think it was old. I think it was like soybeans. So that was the ag, and I mean, there was just so many edges. You know what I mean? That was another thing I liked about that spot, was there was just so much diversity and so much edges, and it was just subtle sign in there. Like, you could see subtle deer trails, and a lot of times, like, when there's subtle deer trails, in my experience, it's usually a buck. You know what I mean? And like the does, when I seen the does earlier that morning, they were working on the side hill feeding, and they cut up to the top. So I was like, all right, they're bedding in the top, man, just like how I figured. So yeah.
So they were just bedding in the. So okay. So you were saying they were bedding in the top and that
Yeah.
all that thick stuff and just working
Yeah.
their way out.
Yeah, and then just working to the ag field, or like working down to the bottom, eating, you know what I mean? And most of the big bucks, like, I feel like they were kind of cruising the side hill in the morning, scent checking for does, or coming off that bedding area. But then in the evening, a lot of times they were just deep in that drainage, just walking the drainage, kind of scent checking both sides, because, the thermals were just dumping down into there.
Okay. And so let's just kind of walk it all back, right? So how many days did you hunt in Delaware? Okay. Then PA is your home state, so you're hunting around, doing that. You hunted Maryland a little bit. So you how many days did you hunt in Illinois?
I think I had 3 sits in Illinois.
Okay. And then what do you do after Illinois? So you shoot this buck in Illinois.
Shoot this buck, and then I looked on my weather app, and so I shot the buck. I think I shot the buck Saturday. No, yeah, my bad. I shot the buck Friday. It was Halloween. I shot the buck Friday night. Found him Saturday morning. Got him out. Pretty much pulled all my stuff. I think I had like 2 conventionals and like 3 cell cams out. So I pulled all them, and then I looked on my Weather Channel app. It was like 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock. I looked on the Weather Channel app, and dude, there was a huge front in Kansas for the next day, and then it was supposed to warm up for like 70s for like a couple weeks, and then it was supposed to drop again. And I was like, dude, I'm going out to Kansas. That was the original plan. I was gonna hit Illinois and then Kansas, and I was gonna stay in Illinois like one night and just chill. And then I was like, after I seen the Weather Channel app, I was like, dude, I got to roll right now, man. So I left Kansas at like, I don't know, maybe 3-4 o'clock. Got down there, camped, and then woke up the next morning in Kansas. And how I scouted Kansas before, I pretty much just went to like spot A that I had pinned, set up perfect for the win. So I pull up there, and I crest the hill, right? And then it kind of dumps off, and it's like public, and then it takes a sharp right-hand turn. So I crest the hill. Dude, as soon as I crest the hill, there was a buck. Dude, he was probably like 150-inch freaking 10-point, just walking up the middle of the road. As soon as I like crest the hill, he turns, runs down, standing right on the edge of public. I'm shining with my like headlights, and I'm like, holy crap, dude, he just runs right into the public. And I was like, I'm about to have a good hunt here, man. I was freaking amped up. So, and you know how Kansas is, it's a lot of like little timber, you know what I mean? So if the deer's in there, he's probably going to be in there. And I freaking, grabbed my stuff real quick, started walking down the road. And dude, there was a deer that came pretty much from the exact spot I killed my deer in. And I don't know if it was a buck or doe. I was using my headlamp, so I couldn't really see too well, but it gets on the logging road, starts walking up to me, and it gets to like 30 yards. I couldn't see any rack, and then it freaking goes onto the private. And I was like, oh man, well, I know there's deer in here. So I just, keep walking down the access path, and like, it was like scrape. I found like 2 or 3 scrapes, and there was like 3 or 4 more trails than what I found like before. And I wasn't even going to sit in that spot. Like I wanted to go maybe 100 yards up. I was like, dude, there's a lot of sign right in here. And I was like, it sets up pretty good. It was like right on the edge of a creek bank, and then like, it kind of jetted up a little bit. There was like a little ledge. It was like a 3-inch, or not 3-inch, like 3-foot ledge, and then like the top was just thick, nasty. And then it kind of opened up into this path. So I just sat right off the path, and dude, like, I heard bucks fighting right off the rip. And about 8:30, I looked to my left, and I see my buck comes out. And at first I wasn't going to shoot him. And then he comes in, and I was like, all right, you know what? I was like, he's a decent buck. I was like, that split G2 was pretty cool. I was like, I know there's a slammer in here, but if he gives me like a good shot and a good opportunity, I was like, I think I'm just going to kill him, to be honest with you, and, keep rolling. I freaking he comes into like 5 yards, dude, and I freaking crush him. He runs out, dies, it was awesome. I meant, like, he wasn't the biggest buck in the world, obviously, but like I was still fired up about it. I can always hunt Kansas again. To be honest with you, I was kind of not broke, but like, dude, it's kind of miserable living on the road. You know what I mean? Out of that little camper, like it's nice, but like, I kind of miss home, like I don't know, like there's some luxuries about being home. Anyone knows that, so I was pretty fired up to get it done, to be honest with you.
Man, if there was a Lane Housner Kansas bumper sticker, that's what it would say. It would say he's not the biggest buck in the world, but
Like, dude, I was kind of like, after I shot him, I was fired up. I'm still pumped up about it. But I was like, damn, dude. I was like, every single time I hunt Kansas, I shoot a buck within like the first 2 hours of the hunt. I was like, I never really get to even like hit the horns together, really experience Kansas. I was like, next time I hunt Kansas, I think I'm gonna try to hold out. I just got to set up. I like it kind of screwed me this year because like I was kind of tight on money and I'm trying to save money. So like I was eating Dollar General food. I didn't have a lot of money to go off of, and it was like kind of like, dude, my pants were hardly fitting. You know what I mean? Like I was losing some weight. I was like, dude, I got to get home and get some home cooked meals.
well, that's what I wanted to ask you a little bit because, like, when you're talking about this stuff, you're like, oh, I'm working a lot. I'm working on the house. I'm doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then it's like, Illinois tag ain't cheap.
No.
Kansas tag ain't cheap.
No.
I don't know what Delaware costs.
It's like 300.
Delaware, Maryland, all
Yeah.
this stuff. And, I, again, like I said it on here before, but like the first time I met you, it was like, why didn't you put in a film for the Latitude Film Festival? And you're like, well, it was like $20, dude. That's like a couple cheeseburgers. And like, whatever. Like, I got to eat, man.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. This Monday night, witness the end of an era. John Cena takes center stage for his final appearance ever on Monday Night Raw. One last match, one unforgettable farewell. Come celebrate the legacy of a true WWE legend. Monday Night Raw, November 17th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time, only on Netflix. Be there for the moment everyone will be talking about.
This is a real good story about Bronx and his dad, Ryan, real United Airlines customers.
We were returning home, and one of the flight attendants asked Bronx if he wanted to see the flight deck and meet Captain Andrew.
I got to sit in the driver's seat.
I grew up in an aviation family, and seeing Bronx kind of reminded me of myself when I was that age.
That's Andrew, a real United pilot.
These small interactions can shape a kid's future.
It felt like I was the captain.
Allowing my son to see the flight deck will stick with us forever.
That's how good leads the way.
Yeah, dude.
So, I mean, I know how you are with your money and food and whatnot. Yeah. So how do you plan out your season, like, going forward with, like, work, money, budget, all this stuff? Because, like I said, from the rip, like, to say, this podcast should be called, like, Must Be Nice because you got all these amenities, just lined up for you.
Yeah. Yeah, shower houses and, porta potties, stuff like that, no electricity. Yeah, like, dude, Kansas, anytime you don't have, like, there's a little fan in that Freedom camper. Anytime you don't have that thing hooked up, dude, you wake up in the morning, I don't care what temperature it is. Like, I was finding out there's just, like, you were just coated in wetness from just condensation. You know what I mean? You have to have that fan running, but yeah.
Yeah, so how do you plan out your season, like, flying by the seat of your pants like this?
That's pretty much it, man. I'm still learning everything. You know what I mean? Like, it's pretty much just Delaware is like, I love Delaware, man. It's only like a couple hours from my house, so that's like kind of a no-brainer, and it starts early. So I've been doing that for a couple years. Maryland's another thing. Like, it's pretty cheap. It's close to my house. So that's always like those three. As long as I'm living in this area, like those three states, PA, Delaware, Maryland is probably what I'll be hitting like every single year, and then all the extra trips. Yeah, man. I mean, like I've been putting in for Kansas for. I had 2 preference points before, so the year before, like past 2 years, I wasn't able to hunt it, and then I drew it this year, and I was like, I'm 100% going. And then when I went down to Florida this year in turkey season and killed my Osceola up with my buddy Trey, like he was like, dude, we're going up to Illinois, you should go too, and he told me how to put in for this hunt and everything. So I pretty much they already had a group lined up, so I didn't join their group. I just put in like single, and drew it, and I was like, all right, dude. Like, let's hunt it, dude. Let's do it. And so I've always wanted to hunt Illinois, so it's always kind of a dream come true. You know what I mean? Hunting it. So
we've got Delaware, PA, Illinois, Kansas. Number 5 is Maryland. Then.
Yeah. I came home, and I came home from Kansas, and dang, I don't even know. I got home. Oh yeah, I drove. So I left the day I shot my buck. I didn't drive home that day. I waited till the next day. And then I had a doe tag out there, and I was like, dude, you know what? I was like, it was still like it wasn't super hot. I think it was like 60s. I was like, you know what, dude? I might as well just like try to shoot a doe. So I went out in the evening to another spot I pinned. It was a float in piece. Like, it was a pretty cool spot. I wanted to hunt that. So I tried it. I seen like a little buck. And then that evening, as soon as I got done hunting, I packed up, pretty much went back to the campsite, loaded up my trailer and freaking hit it, drove straight through. I don't think I got home till, I don't know. I think it was like 4 p.m. that next day. And then pretty much sacked it, dude. Woke up, didn't hunt that day, kind of just took it easy. And then that next day, yeah, it's all kind of blended together, but it was just a couple days ago. But yeah, that next day I went out and freaking, dude, crawled into a tree in Maryland in the old rut funnel that I found a couple years ago. And dude, it was awesome, man. As soon as I got in there, I bumped a couple deer from the road. There was a whole group of does, and they ran back kind of towards the bedding area I was going to hunt. And I was like, this is going to be a good hunt. I just had a feeling. It was cold, set up perfect. So I slid into a tree, and right off the rip, man, I had a doe come. I couldn't see her. I was in way too early, but I had a doe I think it was a doe. She come down the logging road and went down into the holler, and I was like, all right, this is going to be good. And then maybe 5 minutes later, all of a sudden I just hear like burp, burp, and here comes a little buck, comes right underneath my tree. Dude follows the doe path the exact way. And then like, I don't know, 10 minutes later, all of a sudden here comes another buck, comes right behind me, like behind my shoulder, comes down, hits her trail, and just cuts down right where she was. And this was all before daylight. I could just hear him, and you could kind of see in moonlight. But I was like, dude, this is about to be a hell of a hunt right here. And then right at first light, my buck comes out, and he came out from where that first buck did, and he comes right down. He's at like, I thought my rangefinder for some reason wasn't working in the low light. I was ranging, it just kept saying fail. I don't know if I need a new battery in it or what, but it was at like, I thought it was like 25 yards. So I had my 20 on it, and I pretty much just put it like right on the edge of his back, right? Because I was like, well, if it's 25, it's gonna sink right in there. It'll be good. I shot like a foot over this deer's back, dude. And I was like, oh man, he must have been closer. But he runs out like 5 yards, stops, and then I'm like, what's he gonna do? Dude, he just turns and circles and comes past me on the other side. So I grab another arrow quick, and he freaking walks out. And like this time, I kind of just guessed him for like 20, and it was kind of on my off side, and I freaking shot, dude. And like it hit him back a little bit, and he runs out like, I don't know, 20, 40 yards from that. And oh dude, I had 3 arrows right when I walked into this spot. So I freaking, one of them fell out as I was climbing up the tree. The first one I missed him with, and the second one I hit him, right? So I was out of arrows. He runs off to like 60 yards in front of me and stops. And then he beds down, dude. And I'm watching him, and I'm like, dude, he's hurting. Like, he's going to die right here. He bedded there for maybe an hour, and then he stood up. Dude, he could he was just like, he fumbled around like he was going to drop, and then he freaking fell, and he just bedded, 5 feet away from where he just was, and he bedded there the rest of the day, like the rest of the morning. It was probably like 10 o'clock, dude. His head is fully down. Like, I'm looking at him with the binos. He's hardly breathing, and I'm like, dude, I can just sit up all day, like sit here all day and just watch him die. Like this is terrible. I was like, or I can freaking like try to get another arrow in him. I was like, all I gotta do is like get down the tree, grab an arrow, and just sneak over and kill him. I was like, he's not looking good. Like, I don't think he's even gonna, win me. I could get there without the win, hitting him. And I was like, dude, I think I can easily do it. Like, his head was fully down, dude. Like, I meant laying, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna try it. So I crawled down the tree, grabbed the arrow, got a tree in between me and him, and just slowly just walked, dude. I was walking on like down trees, he was only 60 yards away, so all I had to do was move up like 40 yards. Dude, I got to like 25 yards of him. I'm perfectly behind the tree, I'm hardly even making a sound. And all of a sudden I see a shadow like stand up, and I was like, oh my God, dude, he's up. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And I'm like behind the trees, so I can't really see him, and I just peek out. And dude, he's like staring right at me, sees me, and just turns, and just like, he doesn't run, he just slowly walks, but he's kind of going away from me. And he goes, there was like 20 yards till he was over the ridge, and dude, he just did it. I tried to get to full draw and shoot him, but he was moving. I didn't really have a good shot. And he gets over the ridge, and I was like, God dang it, dude. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I was like, he's hurt. And I was like, I'm just going to go out and get lunch, and then probably come back in the evening, like right at last light. I was like, I don't think, like, I shot him right at first light. I was like, I don't think he's going to need a full 12 hours. Like, he was not looking good. And I got something to eat, watched the videos, and, sent him a couple people, and they're like, dude, he's probably dead right now. So I went up there and found him. And he maybe made it 10 yards from where I last seen him at. He actually pinned himself under a tree. I don't know if you've seen that video.
Yeah, I saw that. Well,
yeah, it was kind of weird. Everyone was like, dude, the tree fell on him. Now the tree's been dead, dude. Like, it was already down. He just pinned himself under there. But I've never seen a deer pin himself like that. Like, it was kind of wild.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out like how he got his rack under there. Like,
I know it wasn't much clearance. Like I don't know if he was laying like right above it, and then it was a super hard hill. I don't know if he was laying right above it and then just slid into it, but like how his back legs were, it kind of looked like he crawled underneath of it because his back leg was like kind of pinned, like he just was walking and just like kind of pinned himself underneath of it and died. But it was weird.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
And so $5, which is nuts. I mean, it's just insane.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. I can't believe it, man. I can't believe it.
And so, we were talking a little bit before, and I was like, hold on. Because you're saying, like, you think, like, this season, like, has made you, or, like, you've become, like, a little bit better of a hunter.
Yeah,
like,
I'd say.
And, and you were saying, like, I don't know, maybe I'm just crazy or whatever. But, I mean, something is lining up, to be able to do this and to be able to get on them that quickly. So what do you think has been like the key to your success as far as like being able to get on these deer this quickly?
Yeah. Well, I'd say probably just scouting, man. Not like just throwing blind sets out, to be honest with you, like putting the time in and, finding exactly where I want to set up at and where I should be and sliding in there and making it happen, capitalizing on opportunities.
So break that down a little bit. So when you're out of state, like, I don't know, because it seems like you had already been to Kansas. You were driving around with your buddy in Illinois, but I mean, I think maybe that's probably a better one. So you're driving around, you're looking at these spots from the road, and then are you running in there and like walking it, or are you just driving around, finding a parking area, looking at it from the road and scouting it and then figuring it out? Like, how are you breaking it down?
I'm mostly diving in it. Like a lot of times I'd ride, like when I rode around with Tim or whatever, like he pretty much just rode around and like, all right, dude, like this spot like holds a giant, like it could hold a giant, this spot could hold a giant too. Like there's good bucks in here. He was like, this spot gets hammered. He's like, I won't even mess around with this spot, blah, blah, blah. And I was just kind of pinning like kind of good like drainage to check out. And then, he didn't have a lot of time. So pretty much the next couple of days I just went and just, ran in there and started actually putting the pieces together and pinning some stuff, and exiting some stuff off.
And when you're doing that, like, let's say that you're taking a day.
Yeah.
And you're going to
usually
scout.
Not a day. It's usually just a couple hours, to be honest with you. I'm pretty like efficient with just scouting, like just running through stuff. Like I don't really care about blowing out deer or anything like that. Like as long as I have the wind pretty good in my favor, what I think is in my favor, I'll try it, even if I bump out some deer.
Well, that was what I was going to say is like, are you scouting like for that day? Like, do you have all your stuff on your back? Or are you just scouting for like, just to see, like, what's your process?
Yeah, mostly just scouting just to see. Most of the times I wasn't running around with stuff on my back because it adds so much. Like the one evening after I found good sign, like with those 3 patches of trees like I was talking about, the next day I hunted, I was like, I wonder what's on the backside of it. And it was a super, super long walk. So that one I brought my stuff in and just kind of scouted my way in. But I ended up didn't even see any deer. But I mean I bumped 2 out of their bed, but it was well before I was even set up. But yeah, that's a lot of times I'm just running there with like a backpack with like maybe a camera, like a water bottle, and that's pretty much it. Like I don't even take my bow. I just run in there and like I should probably take my bow, but I just wasn't. It's a lot to, walk through the stuff with, lugging your bow in and everything. And most of the times I'm just running in there and just scouting it out real quick and then running back out to the truck.
Yeah. And it's interesting. Because I've learned more like in these last couple of years, like going and just scouting, but like just bringing your bow, run in there and kind of like look around and be like, okay, like we need to come back here, or like we need to figure this out. Or rather than, like you said, like just throwing blind sits, because sometimes you just walk in there and you're just like, well, there's nothing here, and you're already like committed, and
exactly.
You're just wasting time.
Yeah.
But that's why I wanted to know if you were like planning on for that day or however, like you don't really care. Are you doing it midday, or how does that?
Yeah, I'll do it any time of the day, man. Most of the time, like I was sticking to mornings. I was just riding roads and just glassing from the roads, like all the cornfields and cut bean fields, like stuff like that. But like probably about, I don't know, 8:30, maybe 9 o'clock, start diving in pieces and actually start walking them. And if there's trucks in there, I'm not going to go screw up someone's hunt. Most of the time, like if there's no trucks in the parking area, yeah, I'll dive in there. Yeah.
And so I wanted to ask you too, you mentioned it a little bit. You've got that little camper set up now, and I saw it in the Delaware video, and I knew that you were getting one. So what is that company? And they're like made out of styrofoam or something, right?
Yeah, they're made out of like spray, like it's like a packed foam, and then I think they like spray foam, like kind of truck bed liner it. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's actually my buddy. It was actually Tusa Outdoors before, and then he actually went to high school with me. He just graduated a couple years before I did. But yeah, and then I guess they got bought by Redneck Blinds and changed to Freedom. So that's the camper I've been running. It's a nice little setup. Like I like it. Like, you know, all you got to do for the condensation thing, like you got to open up a little of the window, but it's just hard to do, and you know, coldness because you're trying to keep as much heat in. But like, it's nice, man. It really didn't get that cold. There was a couple nights where it got down in the 20s. You know, I didn't have a heater in there, so it was a little nippy, but it wasn't bad.
And it's funny, like I never like put two and two together, because when you said you were getting one, that I don't know if you still have it, like that you had an Explorer that you couldn't put like a camper top on.
Yeah, I still got that thing.
And so like having it on the trailer, you know, that still makes sense, and it's a good way to run it. So.
Yeah, dude. Todd actually gave me that trailer. Yeah, dude, he was like, yeah, I'm not. We talked about it, I think last time, like the last year in Delaware, and then he was like, yeah, man. He's like, if you ever want it, just hit me up. So I think my brother came back from the Army in the summer, and I picked him up in Philly, like at the airport. And Todd really lives like 15 minutes away from Philly airport, so I just rode down there and grabbed the trailer. But dude, it's been nice. And then when I do these further trips, I've been taking my mom's trailer. It's a little like dual axle, which I'm kind of glad because I had a blowout, but it was nice because like I still had another tire. You know what I mean?
So what's next for you? I mean, you've already killed $5. I mean,
I got 2 more buck tags in Maryland and then 1 more buck tag in Delaware. So I got one, like it's a bonus buck tag in Maryland, so I can shoot him with a bow or gun. So I'll probably try to kill him tomorrow, to be honest with you. I'm going down there. So after I killed mine, I probably seen another like 4 or 5 bucks, and one of them was an absolute toad, and he passed by at like 40 yards. But I already shot my buck, so I couldn't shoot one that day. Like shoot another one that day. But I'm gonna slide right back in there tomorrow and try to kill him. I actually got him on camera tonight, so he should be in there. We'll see. But yeah. Then the other tag is for gun season in Maryland, and then which I think it's that's like a 2-week season. So that's coming up in end of November, and then Delaware's gun season opens up. I think it's like the 14th to the 15th of November here. So I think this weekend coming up, my buddy Devin got an Airbnb down there, so I'm probably gonna roll down there and stay a couple nights down there.
Awesome. Well, It sounds like you've got a hell of a lot of editing to do.
Dude, you have I just finished my PA buck video, so that will probably go up on the channel probably this week. I'm just waiting for I sent it to like a couple of my buddies to prove, so I'm waiting for their like responses back. And then I'm working on my Illinois one right now, but I'm just having trouble transferring stuff from my phone to my damn computer, so I'm trying to work through all that bullcrap. But then I got Kansas, then I got my Maryland one, and then dude, I took my buddy out. I took Alex out. He hasn't killed a PA buck, so I took him out like I think it was 2 days ago. We went into a spot, and there was a dude sitting right where we wanted to be. So we pretty much pulled up the map, pinned another spot, and cut over to that. Dude, we seen like 5 or 6 different bucks. He almost shot like, I don't know, probably 120-inch freaking 8-point, came right down through like 50. And then we seen an absolute slob, and it was like 100 yards away, right? And we freaking the next day, he could only hunt the morning, so we slid out of there. Then the next day we hunted it again. He could only hunt the morning again, so we slid like maybe 50 yards closer where we seen that buck. And of course, right at first light, dude, the first deer we see is on the other side of the creek, right where we were the day before, dude. He's making a rub with his doe. Like, there's a doe right next to him. Making a, dude, he's just destroying this tree, and then he just starts coming, and the doe's like maybe 30 yards away from us, and she kind of like starts working her way back, but he just cut and just went straight away from the doe, man. I was throwing out grunts, and he would not commit whatsoever, but he was a tank, dude. And, dude, he passed by maybe 35 yards from the tree we were in the day before. So we're gonna go. I think we're gonna go back in Tuesday and try to kill him. So we'll see. We'll see. We've seen him 2 days now, and we seen that last day we hunted. We seen like another 4. I think it's like 4 or 5 different bucks too. So we should be in them, but we'll see. We'll see.
And so, where can people watch all this stuff? Like follow along with you?
Yeah, if you head over to YouTube and watch and type in the President's Hunt, it should pop right up for you. You can watch all the hunts I'm talking about right on there.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time tonight. I know you said you got to get up at like 2 a.m. to make it over there to kill that one in the morning. So
Yeah, I got a little bit of walk in, so I got to get up there early. It's like probably 2 hours from my house, so probably start walking in by like, I don't know, 5 o'clock, maybe 4:30, man. Public land stuff, man.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah, buddy. Thanks for having me on, bud.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey there, I'm April Vokey from the Anchored podcast. Each episode, I sit down with fly fishing's most fascinating voices for real, face-to-face conversations about everything from steelhead and fly tying to travel and conservation. Come join me and discover a side of fly fishing you won't find anywhere else on Anchored with April Vokey.
Have you ever been interested in intellectual, stimulating conversations around hunting, sustainable use of wildlife, conservation from all corners of the world? If that sounds like something that's right up your alley, you need to subscribe and listen to the Origins Foundation podcast, formerly Blood Origins. Having the conversations that matter the most with vegans, vegetarians, commissioners, and people that just are curious around what sustainable use of wildlife really is. Listen to the Origins Foundation podcast.